channel, baby.
Yeah.
What it do, my beautiful people. Let's get it, man. Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy Half, and I'm back with another reaction video. You did. So look, man, y'all know the election date is passed. You know what I'm saying? This Prop 50 thing was kind of big. They had it all over the, commercials and, things like that. And out of New York, a gentleman by the name of, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Zohran Mamdani. He wins. You know what I'm saying? He's a Democratic mayor. I think he's like the first ever, I want to say Muslim mayor for New York that New York has ever had. So I guess they got a little, history there. And seemed like to me, based off what I was seeing, not too many people was happy about that as far as in the Republican side. Especially with that Prop 50 that passed. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it, man. Let's see what he has to say. He speaks after his win. Let's see what he got to say, man. Let's see what he got to say. Oh, but before we do, make sure y'all smash that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, baby, and let me know what else y'all might want to see your boy react to. You did. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's see what's going on, though. Say.
Campaigning may have come to a close last night at 9, but the beautiful prose of governing has only just begun. The hard work of improving New Yorkers' lives starts now. That process begins with transition. In the coming months, I and my team will build a city hall capable of delivering on the promises of this campaign. We will form an administration that is in equal parts capable and compassionate, driven by integrity, and willing to work just as hard as the millions of New Yorkers who call this city home. And central to that effort is a transition team that is defined by the excellence New Yorkers will soon come to expect from government. Our team will be directed by Ilana Leopold, whose roots in this city extend back to her grandmother running the trams on Roosevelt Island. She has extensive experience in city government and has been a key part of our campaign to become the next mayor of this city. And it will be led by our formidable co-chairs, former Federal Trade Commissioner Chair Lena Khan, former First Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer, United Way President and CEO Grace Bonilla, and former Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services Melanie Hartzog. Over the coming days, we'll start announcing the leaders who will implement our agenda. People like deputy mayors, who oversee entire areas of government, and the commissioners, who carry out the critical work of city agencies. Some of these people will have familiar names. Others will not. What will unite them will be a commitment to solving old problems with new solutions. We will cast a wide net. We will speak to the organizers on the front lines of the fight to improve our city, government veterans with proven track records, policy experts from around the country and the world, and working people who know better than anyone what their neighborhoods need. Throughout this campaign, I have worked hard to be accessible and transparent with New Yorkers. That same spirit will animate this transition and the city hall we build, because New Yorkers deserve a government that they can trust. And on January 1st, when our city celebrates the inauguration of a new administration, let us also celebrate a new era for our city, one that we all feel invested in and whose success we all work to achieve. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Ilana Leopold to deliver a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Ilana Leopold, and I'm very honored to serve as the Executive Director of Mayor-elect Mamdani's leadership team. I want to thank Zohran for his faith in me, both on the campaign trail and in this next exciting chapter of this movement. As a third-generation New Yorker raised in Mitchell-Lama housing...
All right, we were just listening to Mayor-elect of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, day one here on the job. Jamie Gangel.
So, one of the things I was thinking about as we were listening to him, he talked about the hard work of improving New Yorkers' lives, delivering. Now that he has won, it reminds me of the movie The Candidate with Robert Redford, where he unexpectedly wins and gets into the car and says, "What do we do now?" Everybody knows that Mamdani was charismatic, struck a chord, got people to vote who had, normally don't vote. The question now is, can he manage? And
So based off what I'm hearing, what she's saying, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like she don't really believe in Zohran. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't think it sounds like to me that she don't believe in him. Based off the movie or whatever she was just talking about, where the guy gets in the car, was like, what we do now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you running for, a mayor or governor or whatever, not expecting to even win. But now you do win, now you're looking around at your team like, damn, you know what I'm saying? We wasn't expecting this, but now that we won, what's the plan? You know what I'm saying? Like as if you should already had a plan going forward or going into it. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like to me she's not really confident on this win right here. You know what I mean? But let's get more into it though.
don't vote. The question now is, can he manage? And I think that's what you heard in those words
Let's
today.
not forget, this is the transition.
Right.
He's not going to be the mayor of New York City until, January 1st.
Correct.
He's the mayor-elect right now, putting together his not only his team, but his portfolio at the same time.
And I think people are really going to be watching closely who he surrounds himself with. Are these people with experience who know how to manage? And that will be the first test.
And Eva, what are your thoughts on this? Because that was one of the big questions. Will he be able to implement some of these sweeping promises he made on the campaign trail to lower the cost of living for the everyday American under the socialist ideology?
Yeah, the greatest test is if he is going to be able to deliver, but it will be really a boost for progressives across the country if he can, in fact, deliver on these policy promises. But he stepped to the podium today really looking like an executive. Last night was about the excitement and the momentum. And I think today is sort of a reflection on where he goes from here. But so much, Pam and Wolf, of how he got to where he did was this affordability and economic populism message. And I think that we're going to see this sort of Mamdanification of so many candidates that pivot and adopt that structure. As I was covering the campaigns, so much of the Republican messaging was steeped in sort of the culture wars. And I think that those are kind of over. I think that last night sort of proved that the conversation around trans children and how they're governed in public schools and that entire debate has kind of like lost its momentum. And that really now I think there's more of a focus on affordability, the cost of living, and we're going to see that from candidates across the board.
I have to say that he's going to spend the next couple of months preparing for litigation. And I don't mean this to be tongue-in-cheek, but he already knows he has an attorney general in New York who has been battling with President Trump and this DOJ, a lawsuit totally unrelated to his own candidacy. He knows the litigious nature of Donald Trump and New York City. He also knows there's already a threat being made about withholding funding from the federal government if the people of New York chose Mamdani as their mayor. It's one of the reasons that Andrew Cuomo was somebody that he was saying you have to go with him because he wouldn't have those same challenges. Now, the people did not buy it, and it was their right to vote for whom they want.
So she's saying that they was threatening on holding the funds from out there in New York if he would have won that?
Their mayor. It's one of the reasons that Andrew Cuomo was somebody that he was saying you have to go with him because they're paying from the federal government if the people of New York chose Mamdani as their mayor. It's one of the reasons that Andrew Cuomo was somebody that he was saying you have to go with him because he wouldn't have those same challenges. Now, the people did not buy it, and it was their right to vote for whom they want. We have voting rights in this country for that reason, and democracy. But now I have to think about strategically, what will that mean litigation-wise? Will I have to try to fend off or proactively try to ensure that I get the funding as a part of my city and state? Governor Hochul will look at the same things as well. So the next couple months are going to be the transition. Normally it's like maybe curtains in your office. Maybe it's the idea of who you want as your staff. The legal team surrounding this mayor will have to be worth their weight in platinum, not just gold, because there's going to be so many things thrown at them. And that's an unfortunate reality of where we are right now in politics, where every move you make as an elected official, you have to pay the political piper here in Washington, D.C., which is one of the reasons you've got the Supreme Court looking at things right now and protests happening, et cetera. So I'll be curious to see what his approach will be to that threat that was made from the President of the United States about that funding, what litigation he will do to try to practically fend that off, and then, of course, the reality of all you've described, how to get the job done.
But the political pressure will be there, though, for people
Yes.
to get in line, because Mamdani has won the affection of so many voters on these issues. And so I think it's no longer going to be sufficient for maybe more centrist Democrats or Republicans to stick their head in the sand and try to block him at every turn. They're going to have to work with him because of the demands of the people.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit and say, in New York, that may happen. I don't think this reflects throughout the country. Certainly we saw the races in Virginia and New Jersey. The, Spanberger and Sherrill, they are moderate with national security. When you're talking about these things, I think it's very focused on New York. I also don't think the culture wars are over yet. I think that President Trump sees Mamdani as a foil that he will take advantage of, and you may see other Republicans do it. And I think a big question about his success will be, can he now deliver? If he can deliver, if he can manage, if he can improve the lives of New Yorkers every day, yes, those things, may be true in.
So, who out there thinks that this guy would actually deliver everything that he promised the New Yorkers? I mean, because when you think about the history of the Democrats, they always, they do a good race. Let's just keep it 100. They do a good race. They say all the good things that people want to hear, and this, that, and the third. But then once they get elected, they win, and they get into that seat. It's like they get amnesia. Like everything that they said and promised, they don't deliver. It happens like that all the time. Like all the time. That's one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party and went the other way. You know what I'm saying? Because I finally woke up and realized you guys are just selling us dreams, false dreams. So I think that's what they're talking about in this one. We got to see, is he going to deliver everything that he promised to his city? You know what I'm saying? Only time is going to tell that. You know what I mean? But comment down below if you guys think that he will or will not deliver. I'd love to hear what you guys got to say about that.
New Yorkers every day. Yes, those things, may be true in New York, but New York is a very tough city to run. And so he has a big challenge. And I think Laura's point about these legal cases, this can become both all-consuming, but it's also going to take a lot of time.
Which is not to say that he can't be successful. And I think the people of New York have elected him because they want him to be successful. And it's their right to want it, and it's his job to try to carry it off. But I will say the blueprint that Trump has used about being unapologetically rejecting of the status quo and the normal vehicles to get things done, he might be able to employ it in New York, and they might have more in common than he thinks.
Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani in New York City answering questions. Let's listen in.
My message to ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly...
You know what? I don't know if you got kids or not, but that kind of reminds me of what he just said. Everybody will be held accountable to the standards of the law and all that. It sounds like the same thing that Biden said before, if I ain't mistaken. Y'all let me know in the comment section. But, it sounds like Biden said the same thing before, and we all know what happened with his son and how he pardoned his own son. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like a leader should lead by example. And by you pardoning your own son, it's not showing leadership. what I'm saying, showing favoritism, to be honest with you. So, again, man, we'll just have to sit back and just see and just watch.
Across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves. And what New Yorkers are looking for is...
I think that was supposed to be a shot at Trump when, again, it's supposed to be a shot at Biden, in my personal opinion, again, because of what happened with his son, and he go pardon his own son. Like, you're not showing a good example of everybody being upheld to the law. You're not showing a good example by doing that, bottom line. So, like I say, man, it's, they always say these things and make them sound good and look good and all that kind of stuff, but then when it comes down to it, when the shit really hits the fan, forget my language, then that's what happens. Straight up, man.
Violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves. And what New Yorkers are looking for is an era of consistency, an era of clarity, an era of conviction. And that is what we will deliver to them. And I am looking forward to having conversations with Mayor Adams and his administration about the work of the transition to ensure that the handover is a seamless one and that it is one that benefits the shared work we all have to deliver for the people who call the city home. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody's asking too. I've made my intention clear to retain Commissioner Tisch, and I look forward to having conversations with her on that very subject. Last night, I spent time with my wife, with close members of my team, as we watched the results come in. I spoke briefly with Curtis Sliwa, and then I headed to address the thousands of New Yorkers that were there, waiting to hear of what this new era of government will look like. And that is always my focus. Not on the candidates of this past election, but rather on the people that are so often left behind by our politics. I look forward to serving them.
Your setup.
There you have it, y'all. Once again, I think New York has always been a Democratic voting state. I want to say since the late 80s, I want to believe, early 90s or whatnot. I don't know, y'all correct me if I'm wrong on that. So it's not a shock to see that, this guy won, what I'm saying, as far as the election is concerned. But what's going to come down to is, again, is he going to fulfill all the promises that he made? And based off the history of that party, they always fall short for whatever reason. And then we know the Attorney General is, I think, Letitia, whatever her name is. She had a little issue with Trump, and the one of the judges out there got an issue with the lawsuit with Trump. So it's going to be interesting to see how this will all play out. I'm pretty sure Trump had something to say about this mayor winning. If you guys have any footage on that or a link on that for me to react to, please leave that in the comment section as well. But, we're going to see though, man. We're going to see, And listen, me personally, I want to see good for everybody. Again, I don't care what side of the board that you on, red or blue, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's all for the American people, to make America great, better, stop having, like all these different problems and issues and, the gun violence that's going on in schools and, all that other stuff. So, yeah, so we're going to see. We're going to see. Do I think that he going to, fulfill all the promises that he spoke about? Me personally, do I feel that way? No, I do not. Why? Once again, because they always promise certain things and they'll never deliver. That's another reason why I say I left that side and came over to the other side. I'm just telling you my truth, you know. So, you may not like me for that, and it's all good, because I don't like your ass neither. No, I was playing. But anyway, though, man, thank you guys, man, for joining me, man. Appreciate everybody that's out there. Hope y'all enjoying y'all day. Make sure y'all keep God first. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, was Real Talk with your boy Have. I'll catch you in the next video.